If you're selling services as a consultant or freelancer or just for a service-based business and you feel that sales is hard, then this episode is for you. Because today I want to talk about why it might feel to you that sales is hard. And I want to explain a bit of what actually is going underneath that. And so by the end of this episode, hopefully I've given you some tips to make doing sales easier for you. Welcome to the Bold Business Owners Podcast. In this podcast, I'm sharing with you inspiration, lessons, tips, and actionable strategies to make your own bold business and life happen. Who's your host? My name is CJ, and in the past decade as a strategy consultant, I advised numerous organizations in growing a business in line with their vision and purpose. It is now my mission to help entrepreneurs with the exact same tools and methods to create a strategy that works for them, all so that they can build a more profitable business on their own terms. This is the Bold Business Owners Podcast. So let's start off first with a misconception about sales, or not maybe misconception, but your feelings towards sales. Because if you think that sales is pushy, manipulative, or you're just trying to sell something to someone that they might not want or need, then you are actually making it much harder for yourself to sell the thing that you have to. So maybe you have some negative associations with sales, and those could have come from previous experiences that you have had. But it can also be that you think, okay, I'm not natural at this. There are other people that are better at this than I am. I'm just not a natural salesperson. In that case, I just want to let you know that sales is something that you can learn. It is a skill, and you just have to understand the psychology behind it, some tactics. And I'm not saying that the tactics is what you have to learn. So I don't want to trick people into buying things from me or from you. But it's more about the fact that you learn and you understand that it's a skill and you can learn that over time. And some people have learned it early on, maybe because they had like this side job during, university, where they did some sales calls, some cold calling, which really helps you to develop that skill. You might then get a lot of rejection and you learn how to deal with that. But if you haven't learned that before and you are a business owner right now, and you have to do sales, of course, because sales is key in your business. Without sales, you don't have customers. Without customers, you don't exist. So if you learn only the skill now, then you cannot expect yourself to directly become good at it. And the first few times that you get a rejection or sales feels like it's not going to work, it's not working, it can make you feel demotivated. And it can make you feel like, okay, this is something I'm never going to learn. But yeah, I'm just here to tell you that you can learn this. So be okay with the learning process. Just get better at it. And hopefully this episode will help you with the first few steps in that direction. If we look at sales, if we look at what it truly is, without the manipulative and the pushy side of it, that, maybe you've encountered when you bought something that you did not want to buy, sales in the end, if you think of it from your own perspective, if you want to sell your services, it's more about being of service. It's more about helping someone else to achieve something that they alone are not able to get. And you selling them that service is actually going to help them, right? So let's try to get into that a little bit more, because I'm going to tell you a couple of things that are happening, maybe in your mind, in your body, just this whole feeling that you have about sales, that are not helping you and that are actually making it much harder for you to do sales in your business. So let's dive into why sales might feel hard for you. And the first thing that I see with, for instance, my clients who say that, okay, when it comes down to sales, it's a bit hard, scared, or sales just feels like a big thing for me, then I usually see three things that add to that feeling, that make it feel harder for them. And the very first thing is this. If you have a lack of confidence in your own offer, it's gonna be super hard to sell that service, because you will be second guessing yourself along the way. You will think about, is my price the right one? Are they able to see the value? Am I able to deliver it? What happens if? Can I do this? If you don't have confidence in your offer and what you have to offer to your client, then that can shake up your whole confidence in selling as well. Because in the end, you don't want to sell something that you cannot live up to, right? The second reason why sales is hard for you and why you feel like people are not buying is that there is a misalignment in what you say that you're offering and what your client perceives. So what I mean by that is that you are probably constantly talking about what you do, like what the offer is, what it entails, what the steps are, but you're not actually talking about how it helps them. So you haven't really built that bridge that shows them that the problem that they have and the desire that they have, that is something that you can help them by the thing that you offer to them. So just to take me as an example, if I'm telling someone that I'm helping them to grow their business, and I would tell them, okay, you get so many coaching calls, you get all these access to these master classes and this training, we're going to do deep dive sessions with you, free if you want. And I would just tell them what I'm doing, but I'm not actually telling them why I'm doing this and how it helps them achieve that goal. Then they are not sure whether or not what I'm providing is helpful to them. But if I would say, okay, I'm going to give you like 6 or 10 coaching calls so that during implementation, you can keep your momentum because we're going to tackle any obstacles that you face. We're going to, when your motivation is low, these coach calls are here to help you, to push you a little bit forward. I help you to be accountable during these coach calls. Then you understand why these coach calls are in there. And if I would explain to you, okay, we're going to do deep dive in your business, and I don't tell you why, you're confused. But if I tell you, okay, we're going to do a deep dive in your business, which means I'm going to look at the numbers, I'm going to look at all the services and offers that you have. We're going to look together at the client base that you have, and we're going to analyze that to see where there are opportunities for growth and where there are things that you should not be doing. Then it shows them how this deep dive is actually helping them to get further in their business and how it can help them to grow it. But if you don't make that connection, just mentioning a bunch of features is not going to help your client to understand what your offer does for them. Okay, so that was the second reason why sales might feel hard and why it feels like your clients are not really willing or quickly saying yes to your offers. The third reason why sales might feel hard for you is that you don't actually have like processes in place, meaning it's very chaotic. You are just winging the sales calls. You just jump on the sales call without right preparation. You're rushing the proposals. So whenever a client says, hey, can you send me an offer or a proposal? And you just answer, yes, I'll get it to you by tomorrow. If you are starting from scratch every time with the proposals that you create, all these small things, they don't really help you to make sales easier for yourself. If you have a sales script, now I'm not saying that you should only use sales scripts, but especially in the beginning, it can be really helpful to make sure that you have the right information. And in particular, if you send a proposal afterwards, then the first intakes that you do with your client are very important. But if you don't have that structure and you're rushing into the proposal, you are just missing a few key components in the process. And the process is chaotic and you just do things ad hoc. And yeah, that is why it can feel really hard for you to make the sale, because you're just constantly tackling what comes next instead of thinking it through and going through it from A to Z. If by now you think, okay, yeah, that might be the case in my situation as well, then, it's very normal because you have to have this realization first before you can tweak it and can improve this whole process. And what I want you to learn from this, like this realization, I don't want you to feel like, oh shit, that's true and that's why it's so hard. No, I just want you to learn from it because each of these 3 things are actually fixable. So, okay, now you know it's fixable. That's great. But the very first thing that I still want you to do is to make this shift in what you believe about sales. That will make all the difference. Because if you still keep on thinking or believing that sales is something that is very manipulative and very pushy, and that it's trying to get a client buy something that you're not even sure of, then that will, even if you fix all these things, it will still impact how you do like the sales calls or how you show up when you talk to them. If you show up as a person that is unsure of what they offer, as a belief about sales that it is manipulative, then think of how you will show up in those conversations with them. You will not be enthusiastic. You will not be the one that will tell them, okay, if you want to reach this goal, you have to work with me. You won't show up with all your enthusiasm and your mentality of let's do this. Instead, you will do two things. You will try to sell it, but at the same time, you're trying not to sell it. And that is something that the buyer can feel. Like that you're not convinced of your own services, that you're not convinced that you are the person that can help them. And this leads to them not really trusting you or the process and not believing that they can do this with you. So the very first thing you have to change is your beliefs about sales. So I want you to shift the focus of, if you still think that sales can be manipulative, think of sales as a service, okay? It's not about putting pressure on someone. It's about helping someone to make a confident decision, to help them further. Also, if you do sales calls or if you think about sales, focus more on the client. Focus on their dreams, focus on their desires, focus on what they want to achieve. And don't put yourself in the middle of it all. Don't put yourself like in the spotlight. It's not about you. They don't really care about you. They really care about themselves, and they do care about how you can help them. But they don't care about you specifically. So don't make this whole thing about you. Sales is not about you. It's about serving, and it's about helping other people. And also think of it this way. If you get a rejection, think of rejection as redirection, okay? A no can mean a lot of different things. A no can mean that you're not yet skilled enough in your sales skills so that you can improve it. It can also mean that, okay, maybe it's not the right client. It can also mean that the client is just not ready or the client was not a good fit for you. A no could also mean a not yet. So don't think of it as rejecting you specifically and personally. Just think of it as this. At that moment when you presented it, your offer was probably not the best option for them. And it could be, yes, that you haven't presented it well enough, because I do see this often, that entrepreneurs are not able to articulate their value well enough. But a no does not mean it's personally to you. And if it's personal, then it's only good because then probably it's not a right fit. And that's also something that you can sense, right? When you have someone in your call that you feel is not a good match, even if you would sign that client later on, it will show later on in delivery. So at that moment, you can be happy that a no is a no. So sales does not have to be scary. It doesn't have to feel overwhelming. It's something that you can learn and you can reframe how you look at sales. And if you become better at sales, it can become one of the most rewarding parts in your business. Honestly, every time that I sign a client, I know that I am helping them move forward. I'm not thinking, oh, I signed another client, yes, and that's it. No, I truly believe that with my services, I can help my client move forward. And that's a very rewarding experience. So, if you've been struggling with sales, think about it. You might not be really good at sales yet, but you can improve it. And it's really about what approach you take to make this happen. So I'm going to wrap up this episode. Hopefully it gives you some insights into where and why sales feels hard for you. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a rating and subscribe to my podcast. You can also leave a comment, especially on Spotify, and then I can see it and I can respond to it. And oh yes, earlier in this episode, I did mention that if you do your proposals, then actually the conversation before that is really important because it sets the scene and it also makes sure that you have the right information to write a proposal. If that is something that you're interested in, maybe you're writing a proposal right now, maybe you have one coming up in the future, or you just did one and you're wondering, okay, was this actually correct? Was this the right information? I do have a guide for you on what you should be asking or what you should be discussing during the first intake call before you even send out a proposal. And always with my clients, I really stress the fact that they should prepare this intake really well, because I think about 70 or maybe 80% of the intake determines the outcome of the proposal already. If you ask the right questions and if you talk about the right topics in that specific intake call or discovery call or whatever you call it for your business, it can make such a huge difference. So make sure to download that as well. I will put the link in the show notes below so you can download that. Okay, so that was it for this episode, and I hope to talk to you in the next one. Bye.